Welcome back to 80scomics.com for the full-size review of the full-size Atari Force issue number 1 from January 1984 by DC Comics. The strangest sci-fi heroes of all, Atari Force. But wait, they look different than the Atari Force in the Atari Force mini comics that came with many Atari 2600 games like Star Raiders, Defender, and Berserk. Is it the same series, a continuing series, or something completely different? Let's find out. I actually didn't know about the Atari Force, the full-size issues back in the day. Just picked up a whole bunch of them recently. They're not very expensive. They're like less than $1 each if you can just buy a whole bunch of them. One of the great things about 80s comics is that for the most part, they're dirt cheap. They were cheap when they were new, and they still are. So, let's just say this takes place after the events in the original Atari Force comics. Though it's not quite as wacky and goofy. That's what I really loved about the first ones, or the mini ones. I mean, they're just absurd. This one tries to take it somewhat more serious, and to be honest, it's actually better than I expected. So, I don't like it as much as the originals, or the smaller ones, but I like it, and I'll show you why. Can you go wrong with an opening spread like that? You can't! We meet some new characters. Dart, she's in the red, and Blackjack, who's wearing the R-Zone on his face. I think they're mercenaries or something. So there's a bar brawl. They beat the crap out of a bunch of aliens. There's an ad for Return of the Jedi models, which looks really cool, because I love all the vehicles from Return of the Jedi. Somebody shoots Blackjack's drink, which is inappropriate. Shouldn't waste a good alien beverage. And of course, they blast a hole in the back of the wall of this thing and fall to their death, but they don't die because they're part of the Atari Force, presumably. They're on the cover, so. This issue basically introduces you to all of the characters. And this guy here, whose name is General something or other, who talks like Yoda. No sight of Dart and Blackjack. Underestimated them, I did. Pleased, he will not be. Where did you learn to speak? By watching Star Wars on VHS. We got this guy who looks pretty cool. There's some space pirates here orbiting the planet of Egg. Merchant ship Kilos in orbit around planet Egg. And the planet Egg has these weird-ass alien creatures which look like that when they're young, but then eventually turn into mountains. You can't make this stuff up because Atari Force already did. And, of course, they kidnap one of these things because these mercenaries are complete raging assholes. They go and kidnap one of these egg baby things. Cut to Atari Force, Advanced Technology and Research Institute, orbiting New Earth. Here's where we meet Captain Mullet, otherwise known as Champion. If you watched my review of the Atari Force issue 1 or any of the other Atari Force mini comics or read the mini comics, you know Champion is the hero, one of the main heroes in the Atari Force. This is obviously his son. So we know that, hey, look, a Warlord figure. Kmart, excuse me, I gotta end this video and get my ass to Kmart, which sadly no longer exists. No more Kmart, and they're probably all sold out of Warlord figures anyway, because that looks pretty sweet. So, Champion has this power where he can, like, warp through the multiverse, and the multiverse is the thing that the original Atari Force that basically explores, and we meet some of the other characters here. And at the very end, there's a touching scene between Dart and her drunken R-Zone wearing companion, who looks pretty awesome, actually. Only the power of Atari can bring such weird future people together for a touching scene of heartfelt, touching emotion. Here we have the story so far in the back of the comic, where they tell you about the plot leading up to these issues. And, Superman hawking peanut butter. They still make that stuff? Superman peanut butter? Bump and Jump for Atari 2600. I played the NES one, but not the Atari one. Atari Force. Surely there can't be NES ads in Atari Force also. It's from 1984. First issue, Atari Force. Actually, I like it. I got a whole bunch of these. So the series continued for at least a year or two. I'm not entirely sure. I guess we'll find out here together on 80scomics.com. It's good, though. If you like Atari and weird-ass science fiction with some definite nods, with a definite nod to Star Wars, I think you'll enjoy Atari Force here on 80scomics.com, and the artwork's really good too. Good artwork on this one. Well, maybe not the Mr. T ad, but the rest of it is nice. Atari! Wood-grained heroes from yesterday's future, of tomorrow maybe.